In the year 2123, Earth had settled into a new rhythm. It was the age of discovery on a galactic scale. Scientists were studying alien technology. Diplomats were negotiating treaties with beings from other star systems, and humanity was beginning to explore what it meant to be part of a greater cosmic community. But even in this optimistic era, few Earthlings knew the full extent of the galactic alliance that governed their sector of space, the Galactic Federation. The only person on Earth who understood its secrets was Dr. Elias Rourke, a former head of the United Nations Space Council. Rourke was a legend, a man whose expertise on alien technologies and knowledge of intergalactic diplomacy had gained him the respect of species across the galaxy. But Dr. Rourke was no longer the face of the Council. After a long and distinguished career, he had retired and faded from the spotlight, or so everyone thought. A month before his disappearance, Rourke shocked a small circle of confidants by hinting at an announcement that would change everything Earthlings thought they knew about the Federation. He claimed he had uncovered hidden protocols, documents, and sealed histories within the Federation archives that even high-ranking members didn't know about. But he was careful with his words, always stopping just short of revealing the full extent of his discovery. "They'll come for me if I speak too openly," he warned. The Federation isn't just a council, it's something ancient, powerful, and not entirely what it seems. Then, without warning, he vanished. Emma Rivera, an investigative journalist who specialized in interstellar affairs, had been the last person to speak with Rourke. She called him that night, asking for clarification on a cryptic message he'd sent her earlier. "I've found a piece of history, Emma," he had said over a secure line, his voice tense, "a part of the Federation's past that they've hidden for millennia. It's about why the Federation exists in the first place. There are rules, Emma, rules about what we can and cannot do as members. Earth's ascension to Federation status was only allowed because the line went dead. That was 3 weeks ago, and since then, no one had seen or heard from Rourke. He had become a ghost." Emma didn't want to believe the rumors circulating about his disappearance. Some people whispered that he'd simply gone off the grid. Others claimed he'd been taken by an alien enforcement branch within the Federation, a mythical task force that ensured compliance among its member worlds. Determined to uncover the truth, Emma followed the only lead she had, a coded file Rourke had sent her shortly before his disappearance. It was a complex encryption, something she recognized as Federation grade. After 3 days of constant work, she finally cracked it. Inside, she found data logs, recordings, and a partially translated text. One recording stood out. In the recording, Rourke spoke in hushed tones, as if afraid someone was listening. "Earth was never meant to join the Federation," he said, "not because we're too young or primitive, but because of something much darker. They call it the Directive of Origin. The Federation wasn't formed to unite civilizations, it was formed to contain them, to keep certain species from realizing their full potential." The more Emma dug into Rourke's files, the more the picture came into focus. The Federation, it seemed, was less a government and more a containment strategy. Rourke had uncovered evidence that some species, humans included, possessed dormant genetic traits and powers that the Federation deemed too dangerous to allow to mature. As humanity developed faster than light travel and mastered energy manipulation, these abilities were beginning to awaken. It was a threat to the established order, and the Federation couldn't allow it. Emma's heart raced as she read through Rourke's notes. The Federation had protocols for isolating and neutralizing any species that began to exhibit these traits. In the logs, Rourke described how the Federation's enforcement branch would subtly destabilize societies, introduce conflicts, or even seed internal discord to prevent a species from uniting and discovering its latent abilities. Days after decoding Rourke's files, Emma began noticing strange behavior around her. Her electronic devices malfunctioned, shadows seemed to move on their own, and she often felt the sensation of being watched. She knew she was no longer safe. One evening, as she was reviewing Rourke's files for the 100th time, she heard a quiet knock at her door. She frowned. No one came to her apartment unannounced, but when she opened the door, she found nothing. No one was there, only a small, holographic device left on the mat. She brought it inside and activated it. An image of Rourke flickered to life. "Emma," he began, his voice a ghostly echo. If you're watching this, then I'm either missing or dead. I needed someone I could trust to finish what I started. The truth about the Federation must come to light. Humanity deserves to know who they're really dealing with and what we're truly capable of. He paused, as if steeling himself to reveal the most important part. You have to tell them about the Project Genesis files. They hold the record of every species the Federation deemed too dangerous. There is a hidden archive deep beneath the Federation's main headquarters on Proxima Centauri. The files will tell you the truth about why they're afraid of us. The image flickered one last time before vanishing. Now armed with a new sense of purpose, Emma knew what she had to do. She would go to Proxima Centauri, infiltrate the Federation's headquarters, and find the Project Genesis files, and then she would make the truth known to every human on Earth. Emma understood the risks. She knew that by taking this path, she would be hunted by the most powerful forces in the galaxy, but she felt a surge of defiance and determination that left her with only one thought. The Federation had underestimated humanity for far too long, and now, with Rourke's revelation, Earth would finally understand its true potential and maybe, just maybe, challenge the Galactic Federation in ways they had never anticipated. Emma Rivera Saturday in a cramped shuttle, rocketing toward Proxima Centauri. The Federation had a chokehold on the transit lines between star systems, so she'd had to make do with a commercial vessel filled with tourists, merchants, and laborers on short contracts. It was far from ideal, but it offered one advantage: anonymity. She'd spent her journey combing through Rourke's files, which were filled with references to Project Genesis and the ominous Directive of Origin. Most chilling were his notes on genetic manipulation and psychological conditioning that the Federation imposed on emerging civilizations. Humanity, Rourke believed, had been systematically stunted, altered subtly over generations to keep them compliant and to suppress certain abilities. If Rourke was right, the Federation wasn't a protector, it was a warden. After a sleepless journey, Emma finally reached Proxima Station, the Federation's central hub for governing Earth's sector. The station orbited the barren, red planet Proxima Centauri b, its sheer size casting a massive shadow across the system's primary colony. Proxima Station was a marvel of alien engineering, an immense, rotating citadel of crystal and steel that pulsed with a quiet energy, like a breathing giant, and within it, buried beneath layers of security, lay the secrets of Project Genesis. Emma's heart pounded as she disembarked. She knew that security on Proxima Station was notoriously strict, and she had few resources. Rourke's files contained detailed schematics, but she would have to rely on her wits and a little luck to access the secured levels. Disguised as a visiting researcher, Emma donned an badge that she'd painstakingly forged, based on Rourke's instructions, to bypass the lower levels of security. With a deep breath, she stepped into the station. The corridors of Proxima Station were like nothing she had ever seen. Everything gleamed with an almost organic luminescence, and the walls seemed to shift slightly, as if adapting to her presence. She kept her gaze down and tried to blend in with the steady flow of alien diplomats, scientists, and operatives. After what felt like an eternity, she reached the elevator that led to the restricted levels. She swiped her forged badge, heart pounding. A moment later, the light blinked green, and the doors slid open. Emma stepped into the elevator, swallowing her fear. The panel inside had no visible buttons, only a small biometric scanner. Following Rourke's instructions, she placed her hand on the scanner and whispered, "Level Omega-13." The elevator hummed as it descended, deeper and deeper. When the doors opened, she found herself in a dimly lit corridor, with walls of a strange, dark metal that seemed to absorb sound. She was close. According to Rourke's files, the Genesis archive was located within an underground vault, accessible only to Federation officials. But Rourke had left her a clue, a bypass sequence embedded in a nearby terminal. Emma approached the console and typed in the sequence. After a tense pause, the screen flickered and displayed an access prompt. She held her breath and entered the final code. With a soft beep, a nearby wall panel slid open, revealing a small room filled with data terminals. She stepped inside, her hands shaking slightly, and began searching the files. The archive was vast, containing records of hundreds of species, each one marked with a designation, containment protocol active or suppression required. Her stomach turned as she scrolled through the names of countless civilizations, each one a testament to the Federation's quiet manipulation and control. And then, she found it, Homo sapiens. She opened the file, eyes scanning over words that chilled her to the bone. Designation, Homo sapiens. Potential, Category Omega. Latent genetic activation potential unrealized due to conditioning protocols. Target traits, heightened cognitive processing. Quantum empathy, cellular regeneration. Emma's eyes widened. Quantum empathy, regeneration. This wasn't just about intellectual control. The Federation had targeted traits that bordered on the supernatural, abilities humanity had only seen as myths or science fiction. If activated, these traits could turn humans into something the galaxy had never encountered before. She realized now why the Federation was so desperate to keep humanity under its thumb. They feared what humans might become if left unchecked. But the most disturbing entry was marked as the Directive of Origin. She tapped on it, opening a file labeled Protocol Eclipse. The text read, in the event of a Category Omega civilization reaching awareness of latent traits, Protocol Eclipse is authorized. Enactment will destabilize the civilization's core infrastructure, disrupt leadership, and introduce psychological and genetic dampeners to reset development. If resistance persists, sterilization protocols are permitted. Emma's heart skipped a beat. Protocol Eclipse was a failsafe designed to destroy a civilization if it reached its potential, and posed a threat to the Federation's rule. She felt a wave of anger and helplessness. Rourke had been right. Earth had never been truly free. The Federation had been the invisible hand guiding and controlling humanity's destiny for centuries. She quickly copied the files to a secure device, her hands trembling as she clutched the small drive. But as she turned to leave, an alarm blared, its sound echoing through the narrow corridors. Her cover had been blown. Emma sprinted back to the elevator, heart pounding. She could hear footsteps pounding toward her, a mix of alien voices shouting orders. She was almost to the elevator when a figure stepped into her path, a Federation operative, his expression stern and unyielding. "You've gone too far, human," he said, drawing a sleek, alien weapon. "The Federation cannot allow this information to leave Proxima Station." Emma clenched her fists, feeling a strange energy pulsing through her. The knowledge of humanity's suppressed potential ignited something deep within her, a strength she'd never felt before. She reached for a small metal pipe on the ground and hurled it at the operative. It moved faster than it should have, as if propelled by a force beyond her physical strength. The operative stumbled, shocked, as the pipe struck him squarely in the chest. Taking advantage of the moment, she ducked into the elevator and initiated the ascent. As the door slid shut, she heard him shout, "Protocol Eclipse is now active. Earth is marked for reset." The Federation fleet hung menacingly in Earth's atmosphere, casting long shadows over the cities below. Their ships, dark and streamlined, glowed with the cold, clinical light of advanced alien technology. The world watched as these floating leviathans took position, an ominous display of power meant to subdue any thoughts of rebellion. But this time, Earth was no longer in the dark. The files Emma had exposed had sparked an awakening. People all over the planet now knew the truth about the Federation's intentions and their own suppressed potential. Humanity was rallying, not with fear, but with a fervor that had lain dormant for centuries. Emma could feel it like a heartbeat in the ground beneath her collective pulse, fierce and defiant. In a hidden base outside Geneva, Emma coordinated with a coalition of scientists, diplomats, and military leaders who had managed to pull together Earth's first unified planetary defense. Holographic screens floated around the room, displaying real-time feeds from Earth's hastily assembled defenses, orbital platforms, newly refitted space stations, and prototype fighters reverse-engineered from fragments of alien tech that humanity had managed to acquire over the years. The Federation's first broadcast crackled through Earth's communication networks, a hologram of an alien admiral appearing on screens across the globe. The figure was tall and draped in elaborate robes, its face obscured by a mask of shifting colors. "People of Earth," the voice intoned, slow and heavy with authority, "your attempts at rebellion are futile. You are a young civilization, unworthy of the powers you threaten to awaken. Stand down, and we will allow you to continue under our protection, resist, and face extinction. Emma, watching from the Geneva Command Center, took a deep breath. This was the moment they'd been preparing for. With a nod, she activated her microphone, connecting directly to the transmission. "We know who you are," she said, her voice steady but fierce. "And we know what you've done. Earth won't be your prisoner anymore. We're ready to fight." The alien figure seemed to regard her with a mix of curiosity and disdain. "You think you can defy the Federation? Humanity is not the first species to resist, nor will you be the last to fall." Emma's mind raced, sensing an opportunity to strike at the heart of their arrogance. "Perhaps we aren't the first," she replied, "but maybe you should be asking why so many species feel the need to resist. Earth is ready to unlock the potential you've tried so hard to suppress, and there's nothing you can do to stop us." The alien hesitated. Emma saw the briefest flicker of doubt or weakness, a small chink in the Federation's otherwise perfect veneer of control. "Then you leave us no choice," the Admiral finally replied, his tone icy. "Protocol Eclipse is now in effect." The skies erupted as the Federation ships began their descent. Emma's heart raced as she watched the feats, seeing the alien crafts dropping toward Earth's surface like predatory birds. But humanity was ready. As the first wave of ships entered the lower atmosphere, Earth's defenses roared to life. Orbital cannons fired plasma beams that sliced through the sky, striking Federation ships and causing explosions that lit up the heavens. Prototype fighters, small but agile, darted between the massive alien ships, deploying EMP charges that disrupted their energy shields. The battles in orbit cast flashes of light across the night sky, like a cosmic storm. Emma monitored the battlefield, giving orders and making decisions in real time. But even as the fight raged, she couldn't shake the strange feeling that had awakened within her. Her mind felt sharper, her senses heightened. The strange abilities Rourke had hinted at, the ones the Federation had tried so hard to suppress, were beginning to emerge. It wasn't just her. All over the world, reports were coming in of similar phenomena. Soldiers, scientists, civilians, people were beginning to experience flashes of insight, heightened reflexes, bursts of strength and speed that went beyond anything they had known. Earth's genetic potential was awakening, and it was happening faster than the Federation had anticipated. Emma didn't fully understand it yet, but she could feel it within herself, a strange energy that resonated with those around her, as if humanity was beginning to connect, to sync in ways that defied logic, a unified will. In the skies over New York, a massive Federation dreadnought, flanked by squadrons of smaller fighters, bore down on the city. Ground forces scrambled to evacuate civilians, and anti-aircraft turrets fired furiously at the descending ships. But the dreadnought was enormous, its weapons already charging to unleash devastating blasts. Then, as the dreadnought reached the lower atmosphere, an unseen force seemed to grip it. Emma, thousands of miles away, felt a surge of power ripple through her, like the beat of a drum that grew louder and louder. All around the world, people focused their minds, concentrating on the ship with an intensity born of desperation and defiance. To the shock of everyone watching, the dreadnought began to slow, then shudder. It hung in midair, flouncing, as if some invisible hand held it in place. Across the planet, people felt an instinctive surge of unity, channeling their collective will. Emma could feel it to a bond that was building, as if humanity itself were becoming something greater than the sum of its parts. The dreadnought trembled, its hull creaking as it struggled against the immense pressure. And then, with a final burst of collective energy, it exploded in a blaze of light. The Federation fleet faltered, stunned by the unexpected display of power. Emma's voice echoed over the communications network, strong and fierce. "Earth is united. We're stronger than you could ever imagine. If you want to face humanity, you're facing all of us." The remaining Federation ships hesitated, hovering just out of range, as if reconsidering their strategy. The power they had seen, power that had destroyed the dreadnought, was beyond their comprehension. Humanity had become something new, something unstoppable. In the aftermath of the battle, the Federation ships retreated, slowly withdrawing from Earth's orbit. The message was clear: Earth was no longer a compliant colony, but an independent force to be reckoned with. They were free, at last.